Ag PhD full episodes and more are now available on Acres TV, the newest ag platform connecting you to fields of information. Look for us on watchacrestv.com.
During our Farm Basics time today, we're going to talk about the uses for corn. Corn is raised on a tremendous amount of acres in the United States. Depending on the year, it's around 90 million acres. Well, you think about all those bushels, those hundreds of millions of bushels of corn that are produced, where do they go?
Well, there are some obvious uses. First of all, feed for livestock, and a lot of the corn gets used to feed cattle and hogs and other livestock in our country and in other countries as well. Ethanol is another one that's a pretty big thing. We do make some fuel out of part of the kernel of corn, and that's kind of an interesting thing too, because they only use part of the kernel.
Yeah, so a lot of people think, oh, it's going to ethanol, it's not going to feed. No, most of it is still going to feed. What happens is all they're taking out of that corn to produce ethanol is the starch. They leave everything else, all the nutrients, all the good stuff, that's still going to feed. What they usually will call that is distiller's grain, or in some cases dried distiller's grain, so DDGs, dried distiller's grain. So there is a lot that goes to the livestock, even though it's also going for ethanol.
Yeah, there are some other uses that happen from corn as well, and plastics is one that's been around for a long time. They'll use components of that corn kernel in making a variety of different plastics, some of them biodegradable, which is kind of a cool thing too. So there are some advantages of using a natural product like corn in that process.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about plastic around the world, and just we have too much plastic and everything, and what I've asked for years is why don't they make it all biodegradable? What are we worried about here? We have plenty of crops, whether it's corn or soybeans, where we're making plastics from this. I think we can do this. We can come up with a solution on how we get that stuff to break down. Rather than in a million years, we get it to break down in just a few years.
All right, there's some other things too. One that I really like from corn is chewing gum. They make chewing gum out of several of the components that are in corn kernels. Another one is glue. Many of the adhesives, whether that be to seal an envelope or maybe even your Elmer's glue that you're using in school, get made from corn.
Okay, here's some other things. Sweeteners, crayons. It's an ingredient in yogurt. Vitamin C, corn actually has a lot of vitamin C. Colorings and dyes, medications, matchsticks. Cornstarch goes into diapers, baby powder, a lot of different things. Cough drops have corn in them. Cosmetics, hygiene items, batteries, believe it or not. I mean, there are so many uses for corn.
Yeah, there are many uses for corn. It's an ingredient in toilet paper and fireworks and on and on and on. There are just many uses for this crop that's grown on tens of millions of acres in the United States. The primary one, though, is feed for livestock, and it's not necessarily the human feed component here. We're talking about number 2 grain corn, not necessarily sweet corn that you would eat at the kitchen table.
Well, one of the uses for corn on our farm is we want the corn crop to grow big and choke out our weed of the week. Can you identify this week's weed?